We have Lisa Jensen today. She is joining us from the Attorney General's Consumer Assistance Program as the Assistant Director in October of 2019. Prior to this role, Lisa was employed by the United Way of Northwest Vermont as a director and previously resource coordinator for Working Bridges. Thank you, Lisa. We really appreciate you joining us today, and all the credit unions appreciate all the hard work you do with helping with the scams and everything that the Attorney General's office does.
Oh, thank you. So I thought I would start out by sharing information about what the Consumer Assistance Program, what our mission is within the Attorney General's office. So the Consumer Assistance Program is the first stop for consumers who have questions about anything consumer related. Perhaps they want to know information about the lemon law, or do I have a 3-day right to cancel? So any consumer related issue, a Vermonter can give us a call at our 800 number, and we will provide education and resources. We also have Vermonters that call us because they're not sure where to go within state government to get their problems solved. And so we can also direct them to the appropriate agency. So
Now,
yeah, please, questions.
now Lisa, has the calls been increasing since the COVID virus has hit?
Yes. So we went remote, like most people, mid-March. And so instead of taking live calls, we have a recording and then we return calls within 24 hours. So, so it's with that in mind, the increases happen mostly because in the beginning we received over 400 calls with allegations of price gouging. And then certainly more phone calls from Vermonters who were trying to navigate different resources that are around the pandemic. So yes, our calls did increase. And we have, in addition to providing the education and coordination referral on the phone, we also provide a letter mediation service to Vermonters as well. So any one of us who has a concern or a complaint with a business that they've tried to resolve and need some additional help in mediation, consumers write to us, and then we provide a letter mediation service by contacting the business and facilitating communication to try to come to a resolution. So those are the two goals of the Consumer Assistance Program. In addition, we have many Vermonters that call our office to report scams, to ask about, I got this weird phone call, or unfortunately, we get calls from folks that have been a victim of a scam. So I wanted to share with you what the latest scams are that we're hearing from our office. And then I would love to hear from some of you about what you're seeing within your credit unions. So recently, we've received quite a few phone calls around the grandparent scam, which for those of you that aren't familiar, it's when somebody receives a phone call from a quote grandchild that has, is traveled out of state. The story that the criminal uses could be something saying that I've traveled out of state, I got into a car accident, I need money to pay my medical bill, or I've been arrested. And so what's really difficult is that consumers are reporting that the phone calls that they're getting sound very much like their relatives. So the pitch is, the criminal is to send money now, and what's the quickest way to send money? So various ways that consumers are doing that. They're taking, money out of their bank account. They're going and buying gift cards. There's some wire transfer happening as well. So The grandparent scam is one we recently issued a scam alert. And if you're not familiar with our scam alert system, at our website, which is ago.vermont.gov, anyone can sign up for the scam alert, which we will inform Vermonters when we see a particular scam that's happening around the state. So the grandparent scam, we did issue an alert for. There's also the Craigslist scam, which is another popular one, which there's, fake ads for a rental property, and somebody has to pay, is told to pay the deposit up front before they see the apartment. And then the last 2 weeks has been an increase in the calls around what we call the Social Security phishing scam. So I'll stop there. That was a lot of information, and see if there's any questions.
Now, Steve Timmons is in charge of the VSECU's fraud department. So I don't know if Steve sorry, Steve, I put you on the spot.
No problem.
But I know he probably deals with some of this stuff, but I also want to say I like that link that you can get an automatic update about what scams are happening. And I think that would be great for the credit unions to give out to their members.
Yeah. Well, we of course see the typical relationship scam more often than we would like, but those seem to be occurring on a frequent basis now. Also had some recent loan scams where a person or a member thought that they were applying for a loan online, ended up giving all their account information out to the fraudster, and of course the fraudster made deposits of counterfeit checks into her account. She thought they were valid checks, immediately withdrew the money, and of course they told her they sent too much money to her. She didn't qualify for that amount, so she sent money back to them. And we hear that computer service scam a lot as well, where they notified either through pop-up or email that their computer had been compromised and they need to call this number or need to click this link. And we see that quite often as well. Yeah, fraud seems to be on the uptick right now, so it's pretty interesting.
It does.
To see about these other scams that are occurring as well.
Right. So, Steve, I agree. The computer tech scams, we do hear about that as well. So just to make sure, so you said the relationship scams are on the increase, or you see a lot of those, Steve?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because, in a lot of these cases, in most of the cases, all the cases, it involves a single person who's looking for some sort of companionship. It
Right.
isn't just the elderly. We're starting to see more of the different age groups that are falling for these same scams.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we call that the romance scam.
Oh,
Yes. That is, so you're seeing, we're also seeing that it's, I would say the majority are older Vermonters, or I would say mainly widows.
yeah, we see a lot of the, what we've seen so far is, I would say the majority is the elderly, but we're starting to see, younger age groups falling for this as well.
Right.
30s, 40s. So it's surprising because you would think they would be more tech savvy and understand what's going on online and not fall victim to these scams.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I want to share on a positive note, and then is that last year, the Consumer Assistance Program was awarded an educational grant, a grant from the Sears Educational Fund, and we are going to be creating 3 videos that the theme is going to be verify your relationships. And so we're going to focus on the romance scam, the grandparent scam, and also the business imposter scam. So our goal is to have those completed by the end of the year. So we will absolutely share them with all of you, and any information that we can provide to you. If you want to share in your newsletters, please reach out to me. I'm happy to provide information on our scam alert, educational materials, anything that would be helpful to educate Vermonters about scam prevention.
Now, if there's a scam and a credit union, is finding out about a particular issue, should they be reaching out to you guys to let them know what the latest and greatest is? Or, and do you help in any way of trying to get these crooks?
Yes. So to answer the first question, yes, I would absolutely invite anyone from the credit union to contact our office or contact me directly. And as I'm just about a year in the position, so there was a system set up which I haven't yet had a chance to look at and maybe re-implement in terms of a hotline where banks and credit unions could contact our office. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, yes, please contact me by email or phone if you have any questions or concerns or would like some strategies in talking with a customer. Because I know what's really, really difficult is when there's a customer that, your staff will see the red flag, right? And perhaps mention to the customer, did you verify this relationship, or are you sure, to try to figure out if this is something that they can prevent. And I think that's the most difficult position for staff to be in, because it's when somebody has been convinced by a criminal for 6 months that they're their, partner and they're going to get married. It's hard for them to hear from someone that this may not be true. And so
Right.
strategies about how to best, we can absolutely brainstorm about that as well.
And I think it's also hard right now because a lot of people are not going into the branches to bring those checks that they're getting from people. And so the tellers can, look at it and, maybe stop some of these crimes. And they're doing everything, by ATM, and it may take a little bit before people actually catch on, that there was a bad check that went in.
Right.
Yeah, we actually see a lot of mobile deposits of those type items where the member gives out, their account information because one, I've been talking to this guy for months. So they think they've got a valid relationship, and they, that trust factor kicks in, and yeah, it's like they give up their account information. These things start showing up through a remote.
Oh yeah.
Too.
Okay.
It's crazy. Sarah, are you seeing anything? Nope. John, are you seeing anything?
We haven't seen anything locally here, although we haven't had very much traffic with it being a new establishment, so. And it's also not really located in a place where you would have that type of traffic, foot traffic anyway, so most people that come are coming for a purpose, so. And we haven't had much feedback from members here that they've had issues, so it's been fairly stable.
Yep. But Sarah says she doesn't have a microphone hooked up to her computer.
Oh yeah, I just opened up the chat. So if there's anything that she wants to type, any questions, I'm happy to look at that.
Thanks.
So to answer your second question, Christine, is what can our office do if somebody is a victim of a scam? And we have, depending upon how the money was sent, we will obviously talk with them on the phone, and then follow up with what we call a scam with loss packet, which includes a complaint form, educational material. So when the complaint form comes back, if, for instance, it's a scam that involves a wire transfer, we will send a copy of the complaint to the wire transfer company and have them review it. If we talk to somebody who has sent a wire transfer within less than 24 hours, we have contacts at those companies where we can call immediately and have it stopped, hopefully. But as you know, the difficulty is once it's gone. And so where the latest trend is that the criminals are asking the victims to buy gift cards. So our approach right now, within the consumer, we're consumer protection, so we're not we aren't criminal enforcement, is to contact any entity that has been is connected to the scam to see if we can find any information. So we will contact, some of you may have gotten a letter from us just to kind of open the lines of communication about what happened with this victim. Is there any information you may have that you can share with us? We'll contact the businesses where the consumer purchased gift cards. We've had one business that's provided a partial refunds, which is great, but
That's nice.
so we, I think the best thing we can do when someone has been a victim is obviously we tell them to report it to the police. They can report it to the FBI, to the Federal Trade Commission, write to us. Let us see if we can gather more information, contact the wire transfer company, the stores where the gift cards was purchased, the bank or the credit union. Do they have any information to share? But it is difficult to get money back. After, once the money's gone, it's very difficult to get that back.
Get it back. Oh, I know. And Sarah said that she has seen some money mule type activity, whether it's romance or online job scams, definitely an increase with the SBA and state employment deposits.
Okay. So is the state unemployment deposits, I think are you referring to, Sarah, the unemployment insurance fraud where there's identity theft and somebody has filed unemployment with someone else's information?
Out of state coming in other names.
Yes, Sarah, we've received some of those phone calls as well. So the Department of Labor has two things. One, if it's within Vermont, the Department of Labor does have a fraud unit, and so there's a specific place where we refer Vermonters to get that resolved. We also, anytime somebody calls our office with a concern about identity theft, we have an identity theft. Well, there are two things. We have a packet we can mail, but anyone can go to identitytheft.gov. And that is the place where you can go if you think you've been a victim of identity theft. So anyone that has this particular identity theft, somebody using their social security number to file for another state's unemployment benefit, that is a very, very useful resource. We're happy to talk with consumers about the steps to protect their identity as well. We coach and educate Vermonters every day about identity theft.
Nice. And Steve said he's had a couple of the unemployment scams as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious. So when you see those, Steve, how do you advise? How do you advise your customer?
We actually reach out to the customer directly, particularly because we're on a fraud monitoring system that helps us identify some of the stuff. So if it's really out of the norm for the member, then we'll get flagged and then we'll reach out to the member. So we had an ACH transaction in particular that came in. Our monitoring system flagged it we reached out to the customer and, questioned it because the name, of course, on the ACH transaction, wasn't anywhere to be found for this member. And of course, it was, to Sarah's point, a relationship scam where she said that he was having, and this kind of stuff always amazes me, his friend's unemployment deposited to her account, and for her to be able to move it back to him so he could send it to the friend. So, yeah, it was kind of a, money mule situation there too, is where, it was the state of Washington. And we ended up sending the ACH back, to the originating institution, and advised the member that she was being scammed.
So Steve, so you're with the Vermont State Employee Credit Union, is that correct?
Yes.
Does each credit union have a fraud division and utilize this fraud monitoring system?
Oh, you're on aren't you on some type of committee with all the credit unions, Steve?
Actually not.
Oh.
But I was going to say that we are aware that there's some of the credit unions that are using the same system that we are, and then some are on other different systems. I'm not sure if they all are or not.
Oh, okay. Okay. So there isn't one. That's why I was curious whether or not the credit unions, there was one system that you all use to monitor fraud. So it sounds like it depends upon the credit union, and there's different systems that each credit union can utilize.
Yeah, being a database kind of guy, that would be ideal, because in essence, if you could record enough information that could be used to help track some of these people, then maybe you could prevent something further down the road if the similar names show up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Steve, do you have do you share information directly with FBI?
We do. We reach out when we have, and of course, you complete SARS when things are involved that are way out of whack. So, yeah, we kind of follow those guidelines.
Okay.
And then Sarah wrote, scammers have also told our members the deposits are from inheritance or an online loan. We also try to reach out to the members and send funds back to multiple vendors for fraud monitoring.
And I have one more that I'd like to mention. I don't know if anybody else has seen this, but we literally had a guy that was contacted by quote unquote, what's the guy's name? That's, from Facebook.
The owner, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Mark Zuckerman. Yeah.
He received an email from Mark Zuckerman telling him he had won the Facebook lottery. And unfortunately, he fell for it. And the guy, believe it or not, the fraudster sent him checks drawn off of a Naval Federal Credit Union in our member's name. The member deposited those checks for it was a couple of $1,000s, and before we could catch it, had already sent the money back. In other words, they didn't deposit it; he cashed those checks. Oh. So the checks were in the member's name that the fraudster created, drawn off of another institution for him to pay the taxes that were going to be associated with that lottery scheme. So I thought that was interesting, because we actually had 2 cases of that where the fraudsters are starting to provide checks off other institutions in our members' names for them to deposit cash.
So I guess I could just one more follow-up question, Steve. If somebody, what I'm trying to say, so a member receives a fraudulent check that's deposited and then immediately takes the money. What happens if the victim are they considered, is it considered check fraud if the Vermonter is a victim of loss? How do you view that with your customer?
Well, you know, the unfortunate side is the way we look at it. If the deposit's made and they withdraw the funds, you know, that's on our member.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's the sad part, is that people are you know, falling for these things, immediately withdrawing the cash. You know, when we write blogs on our website, you know, for our members, kind of addressing some of these things.
Yeah.
You know, we stress the fact that if there's an urgency for you to withdraw cash and to send it somewhere else, then you can pretty much guarantee that's fraud.
Mm-hmm. So
So
the
that's
so
more creative for sure.
so the customer then is liable to pay the bank back.
Right. Because in essence, they deposited the item and then withdrew the cash themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, in some, you know, most instances, they say keep 250, keep 500, you know, keep 1,000, and use it for your own, you know, for your own sake. And unfortunately, they do. So, you know, a portion of the funds goes to the fraudster, and a portion of the funds are used by the members. It's a little carrot.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I was asking maybe more questions than.
Do you think that it would be useful, Lisa, if maybe, you know, we get some credit unions maybe once a month and, you know, see what's going on in the fraud world and see what we could do, like have I don't know, a monthly fraud meeting or something?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'd be happy to do that. And yeah, anything that we can share in terms of our knowledge or educational assistance. And I think what I'd love to keep talking about is how we can best educate Vermonters to prevent these scams. Because that's our only strategy that's gonna to stop the criminals at this point.
I know. And I just got an email saying that the PPP program, they are saying that now there's a new link out there that fraudsters created that kind of looks like the PPP, the SBA website, but it really isn't. And so people have to be careful of that as well.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. I did not hear that.
I can send you the email on it.
Okay. Okay. Yes. And just to remind folks, please go to our website, ago.vermont.gov, and there is the scam alert sign up there on the website. And also always keep in mind identitytheft.gov as a resource for your members too, if they've been a victim of identity theft.
Thank you. I really appreciate you coming here and talking and everybody, you know, sharing what's been going on at their credit unions, because I think it is important that we each, you know, everybody looks out for each other.
Well, thanks so much for having me. And anyone, please feel free to reach out by email or phone.
Well, thank you, Lisa. And I will send you a copy of the recording, and as soon as I get it, and I'll always send it out to all the credit unions.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good week, everyone.
Thanks.